still not subscribed to the partition, you know, it's a lot of ways that you can do this besides watching all the content. But before we start, always remember, go to the channels link. Every show that we have, you can always see every show before everybody else see the show. But besides that, always remember, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, put it on all. Until then, always remember, anything is possible. Thank you for choosing the partition. Now let's get into the show. Anything is possible. Peace.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a huge.
So what's up?
That's right. I'm the legendary Ronnie Spencer.
WD.com. I love the conversation. My son got me this with my dad, so I can always have him with me whenever I do the show. Hold on, wait. I want to laugh. Welcome back to Choppin' It Up with Lil Ron. Today in the studio we have a special guest. This guest right here is a very special guest because she been knowing me before I became the talk show guy that you see now. She know me when I was doing computers. But this lady is an awesome lady. Real estate, man. She can tell you anything you want to know and some. But don't take my advice for it. I want to introduce the one and only Mrs. Kyle. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing good. What I do when I bring people on the show, I always let them introduce themselves to the audience so they can know who they are, because I know who you are, and your people going to know who you are, but there's a lot of people out there that may not know who you are. So give a people a quick little rundown, and then we got it from there.
Okay. Well, of course, my name is Felicia Beaudoin-Kyle, and I've been with Coldwell Banker for about 10 years in real estate. And that's pretty much it. You know, of course, I have 3 kids.
Yes.
Two grandkids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot has transpired. Well, you know, real estate is a real thing right now that's going on. A lot of people actually moving to Houston.
Yes.
Coming from Atlanta, coming from Los Angeles, coming from New York, Chicago, all over the world. Everybody is at Houston is actually being the new Atlanta or the new Hollywood because everybody is actually moving. The cost of living is actually going up.
Correct.
And a lot of people feel like, hey, basically, why would I waste my time buying a house when I can just rent my own apartment? Not only they don't understand, you're making somebody else rich.
Right.
And when you invest into yourself, you got equity in your home, and some people, they don't really understand that part. First thing I do want to know, what made you get into the real estate business? That's the first thing I want to know. What made you do that?
Well, I was in the restaurant business. I owned a catering company for 13 years and a restaurant for 8. And I wanted to get in the real estate business because my goal has been to help single women and children get their foot, planted. That, that buying a home is most people's largest, purchase. That's what not hardest, but the largest purchase that they'll make in their lifetime. So I thought if I got in and got my feet wet, I could help other women come in that were single and wanted to be homeowners, because being a homeowner, you're it's like having your own bank.
Trust me, I know. In 2006, I actually purchased my home, and I'm almost there towards the end, but I actually purchased my home in 2006, and I used to rent in an apartment. In fact, Timbers of Deerbrook, I was actually renting, and I remember the day when I actually got ready to actually get the house. At first, I was kind of nervous. I thought maybe houses for like rich people that have a lot of money. Then somebody explained to me, how much are you paying for your apartment? I say, I'm spending like $1,000. They were like, for $100 more, you can be investing into your own self. Right. And I was like, but you got to do all this extra. He say, look, if you pay your taxes on time, some people mix their taxes in because some people they like to mix their taxes into their stuff. Some people like to separate them.
Right.
And long as you got your insurance and you take care of
That's also included in the note.
yes, and a lot of people don't like to have insurance in there, and then God forbid something happened to their home. Then they want to beat themselves across the head and say, "Man, I should have had this insurance from the beginning." But when I actually got my home, it was like the best investment in the world. Only thing I do not like, this is the only thing I do not like about having, and you can help me with this one. The only thing I do not like about having my home, I hate the homeowners association. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I tell some people, if you go to some of the neighborhoods like Tidwell and Mesa, where I grew up at in Verde Forest, some parts of Fifth Ward, some parts of Acres Home, I always tell them, when you see that car Uncle Bubba got outside in the driveway and the 8 cars in the backyard,
Right.
that brings the value of the neighborhood down. But then when
Right.
you go into a neighborhood that has structure, it's different.
Right.
When you tags out on your car, you get a letter in the mail.
See, it's kind of like saying, just hypothetically, I don't like the police until somebody steals your car or break in your house. It's that same scenario. I mean, you really need a homeowners association because you don't want to be living in your home and someone moves next door and decide to paint their house yellow or orange. You know, you're talking about a car in the street, but what happens when your neighbor comes in and they want to paint the house a crazy color that doesn't fit, or they want to maybe add on a outhouse in the front of the house.
And you know, that's crazy you said that. When I moved into our neighborhood, I'll never forget this. It was a lady that bought a house, paid cash for it. She painted her house. The homeowners people took her to court, and they won. She had to either she had to pay a fine, and she had to take her house and put it back the exact color it was. If she didn't, they were going to take her home. And I didn't know that homeowners can actually do that.
Yes.
But it actually do make sense because if you got a house that's actually, all the houses are actually bricked and they're white. And all of a sudden you got this one house that looked like Elm Street, looked like Nightmare. It's a red house. It throws off the actual neighborhood. It makes a person think like, what's so special about this house? Why this house? And if that person say, well, if she can paint her house red, I'm gonna paint mine blue. Before you know it, you got a whole Lego. Everybody got a different color house.
So with that being said, now it's mandatory that when you purchase a home, you get the bylaws from the HOA. And not to spook anybody, once they give you those bylaws, just read them. You can read them and file them away somewhere. You just need to know what your rights are. And they give you a list of all the things that you can do in their neighborhood. Like some neighborhoods, they don't want the trash cans to sit out after, maybe 4 hours or 6 hours. You're supposed to put your trash can up. They just different ones most of them have the same bylaws, but you just want to read it to make sure that, and not only that, it helps the neighborhood because you're paying that so that they can go around and they can find people and they can keep your neighborhood up. It's kind of like those saying, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, good work ain't cheap. Cheap work ain't good.
Right.
Another thing that a lot of people don't understand, when you said build, I had a friend of mine, he actually lived in Kinswick, to be exact. He wanted to build a actual man cave.
Yes.
He get ready to get the lumber, go through the construction. I tell him like, hey man, I think you gotta call them first before you do that. Man, I ain't gotta do nothing. This is my backyard. My house is mine. He got ready to start the procedures. Somebody got a whiff of it, and they basically took half of the construction and made him tear it all back. He had to tear it all back down. It was a big thing. The police was over there and everything. They were like, hey, you really can't do that.
HOAs and taxes, you can't get around. Those are things that you don't want to pay or want to deal with, but there are things that are much needed because there's a lot of hidden things that people never think about that other people will do, like try to change a motor in their front yard. It's just a lot of different things that come along with that, and the HOA keeps that from happening. You know, that's just one of the good things about purchasing a home. See, there's a lot of things once you get into purchasing a home, not only is the home a bank for you, but it's also a safe haven for you and your family. And those are the type of things that are needed to keep your home safe.
A lot of people, they don't know that. And I know when somebody told him from another home association, they gave him a scenario. They told him about, they had a client that had their garage was like dislocated from their house, like on the side part of the house.
Oh, wow.
They told them if they drive by there and that garage door is still there, presentable, whatever's behind there, as long as they don't know, they don't care. It's not that. As long as if they drive by there, they see a garage door. Now you take the garage door off and you break it all the way down. Now it's a problem. But as long as that garage door is there and they physically can see that garage door, hey, whatever you do it. And believe it or not, he built his man cave, and his man cave is so smooth. Even if he lift his garage up, half of his garage looks like, if you drove by, it's like a regular garage. But if you go behind the other door that he built, it's his man cave. So he got what he wanted.
Right.
And the other dude didn't want to do that. He said, I wanted him. So he ended up selling his house. He did what I told him to do. Go buy your land. You ain't got to go through none of that. Just buy your land, get your stuff off, build whatever you want on your own land. But y'all just remember, you get your own land, you ain't got no nosy neighbor. You got to remember that. So when you're on private property, anything can happen. Somebody can jump on your property. They can steal this. It makes you vulnerable.
See, HOAs is just basically to keep you and your neighbors from having problems with each other.
Yes.
That's basically what the home association is for. That's what HOA stands for. Home association. Homeowners Association. And that's to keep you from getting, having problems with your neighbors.
Now, programs. People always ask me about, we in the tax season right now. People getting their tax money. They going to go buy Gucci, Louis Vuitton, almost every brand that you can't even name, but they finna go buy this. They finna go buy all these fancy cars. They finna do all this stuff they need to do. And they don't realize this is the time to actually get you a home. And they think, well, it's income tax time. Houses are up high. Is the housing market up high during the tax season or no?
No, it's not. People tend to shy away from purchasing a home because of the process. They think that it's hard because the process takes time. For example, there's 4 steps to purchasing a home.
Okay.
One is the credit, okay? And then one is
I
know you're ready to tear into that.
When you say credit, I always hear people say, you can get your house, go holler at Keisha. Keisha can hook your credit up and fix it up and take it off, man, and you can go buy your house and this and that. And I hear horror stories, and they say they get right there the day of closing. And when they get ready to run the credit again, all of a sudden, everything they had in the beginning, it pops right back up. Now they have to start the process all over again, and they lose money. And some people think they don't get their money back.
I tell you what, I'm going to name the 4, then I'm going to walk you through them.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you how to avoid that. Okay?
Okay.
First one is credit. The second one is your lender. The third one would be your realtor, me, Felicia. And the fourth thing would be closing, the title. Now, those are only 4 things that you need to do, but the process itself takes time. Let's say a perfect credit score is 800. We're going to start with credit because most people aren't familiar with credit. Because I've been in the business a long time, I know a little bit about credit. I know enough to send you to the right person or to say, hey, you need to talk to such and such about this. Credit is, and I always try to compare things because it makes it more understandable.
Yes, ma'am.
Credit is kind of like jumper cables on a car. You don't need them every day.
That's right.
But if it just sits there in your car on the very day that you need it and you're in a hurry, you have it.
That's right.
Okay. So with credit, a lot of people fear credit because they don't understand the numbers that goes with credit. There's 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Assurian, and TransUnion. Okay. And what a lot of people do is they'll go to fly-by-night creditors and they'll go on and they'll dispute everything. All the bad debt is disputed, not realizing that if one of those debtors come back and say you owe them, they put it back on your credit for 7 more years. I've heard horror stories from that too. So the best thing to do is just start the process the correct way. It takes 45 days. I think it's 45 days. Every 15th of the month, I believe. Don't quote me because I'm not a credit person, but I know enough. It rotates like every month on a certain day. They
Mine's
report
like
it.
on the 20th of every month.
Right. They report your credit. And if you dispute it this month and the creditors get wind of it next month, they're going to put it back on there next month. And they might take them 2 months, might take them 3 months, and then they'll put it back on. So if you don't dispute, what you do is you find that person. And I know people who've been in the business from 10 to 20 years. And it only takes anywhere from 3 months to 9 months to fix your credit. Remember, it's a process. Okay? So if you go out and let's say you have, first of all, let me explain to you the numbers on credit. Each credit union have a number that they give you. And they call it the medium number, but basically what they do is take the numbers. I mean, just from reading them, I'm not sure, but they take the 3 and divide them, and that's pretty much how they get your credit score. Now, I'm not saying if you would compare that number to the number that you already have. I just kind of figured it from watching it. So again, I'm not a credit person, but just noticing that, that's how they do that. So the highest score you can get is 800. Anything below a 5, I think it's like a 550, is considered like bad credit. Okay? Yep. So if credit is revolving every 45 days, we're going to say hypothetically 45 days, okay? And you have these things on your credit. What you should do is you get a free credit report every year. And I suggest this to my clients. Pull your credit.
See what's on there.
See what's on there. A lot of times the things that are on there are things you've either paid off. A lot of it you've paid off. A lot of it sometimes it doesn't even belong to you.
Yep.
So first, look at your credit. Don't be afraid of it. On the very last sheet of the report are numbers to each company. And they have a list of each company that you've done business with in the past. You call that company. If that belongs to you, you call them. If it doesn't belong to you, clean your credit up first before you go to a professional. Now, the 2 companies that I deal with, they tell you if they cannot get your numbers at a certain point, they're going to tell you up front. Okay? And again, I like to compare things. So I have to say this about credit. If you're driving down the street and you're flying in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, you're going 75, right? The police pull you over. They're going to give you a ticket, right?
That's right. Ticket.
Okay.
Better hope you don't go to jail.
Hopefully not. But that ticket on the average is going to cost you $1,000, anywhere from $500 to $1,000, right? Okay. That's going to, if you don't pay it, then you get a warrant. Then you have to run from them for a while.
Yep.
Okay?
Kato run all the time.
Right. Or you go in and you have to get a payment plan. And it looks like when you get a payment plan, they double it up. To me, it just looks like it costs more when you do a payment plan on the ticket if you don't just pay it out. So if you get a ticket, then you pay that money out. Now that ticket only it before they catch up with you, it lasts what? For maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months. Once you get that warrant before they catch up with you, credit is just like that. Okay, you get bad credit, okay, but it can last a lifetime if you don't work on it. So in other words, can you imagine going your whole life never being able to get what you want? Your whole life. Somebody just telling you no, over a simple process. Now, it might cost you $500 to $900
To fix it.
to fix it. Just like it would cost you for that ticket. You made the mistake, you ran the light, you got the ticket, you fixed it. You made a mistake on your credit. Fix it. Pay the $500 to $900. It's worth it to get your life back. And some people can get it back in 3 months. Some people get it back in 45 days. Let me start there. Some people get it back in 45 days. Some people get it back in 3 months. Some people it takes 6 months. Some people it takes a year. But it's worth it because at the end, your credit, you can go and your name is gold and you can buy what you want.
I know that. I can tell you that personally. I know how that feel. I tell people, I said, man, I was like, man, look, man, I got all this money in my account. I say, your credit is more powerful than your money. And they actually think that, man, my money is good. Nah, that credit is power, man. Credit. You can walk on the lot. You got good credit. You can walk out with that Tesla or that Corvette or that Mercedes Benz or that BMW you want versus that person that had to go put $8,000 and $9,000 cash down.
And the crazy thing about credit is if you own, let's just say you're worth $100,000, you can get $300,000 in credit. You just off the top. You know, credit is, it's, if you're paying your bills on time, the sky is the limit because of the interest. They want you to pay them the interest. So you're paying for the credit. And a lot of people don't realize that. But as long as you have good credit and you're maintaining the credit, and that's what a creditor, a person who does credit, a professional, they'll teach you how to maintain your credit. Not just get your credit score right, but to maintain it. The average person really only have 3 credit cards. I mean, the average person who's trying to save money. So I'm not going to go into that because that's something that you would have to talk to a creditor about.
I got a friend that got 50 credit cards. he got 50 of them. He has a credit line of about $10 million. I saw it with my own eyes. He flipped them over, and I'm like, wow, how did you do that?
You can always get an open line of credit at the bank, too. It's just, it's how you want to do it. But, again, you have to talk to a creditor.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not a creditor. I just kind of can go over how it works. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to credit, I always tell people, especially young people, I've sold houses to 18-year-olds. Yes.
18 years old? Mm-hmm. I bought my first house at 26. 18.
I sold a house to a 22-year-old teacher, single teacher.
Wow.
People don't realize that if you have good credit and you're on disability, you can use that to buy your home. That's income. Yes. And I don't know the guidelines or how it works, but anytime you're receiving a check, you can use that money to buy your home.
What about police officers and like firefighters and stuff like that?
They get discounts. It's a lot because they get, I don't want to say discounts, that's the wrong terminology. They have
good incentives.
There
you go.
You go.
Good incentives.
Firemen, police officers,
doctors,
nurses, veterans. Veterans are carte blanche when it comes to buying a house.
Wow.
But if you just take the time, the process, just find out. Even if you're not going to do it, at least find out if your credit can be cleaned up in 45 days.
Credit.
So
Fix it first.
Fix it first. Your credit is number one.
One.
Pull your credit report. Find out.
So what do you do when a person comes to you and they refer a friend? And when I'm finna tell you, you're gonna say, yeah, I hear this a lot. I hooked you up with my friend Joe. Did he get the house? Yeah. You gonna give me a kickback? People always tend to do this. They feel like that because they basically refer somebody to you that you owe them something. And some people, they feel that way. And, some people would be like, my realtor did for me was sweet. Soon as you close on the house, whatever you got to pay at closing, when we walk out the door, I'm going to give it back to you. And he gave it literally soon as we walked out the door. They didn't have Zelle back then, but he was like, hey, look, here's a check. Go to the bank. Go ahead and cash it. Gave it all of it right back. Everything I had to put up at the end, he gave it right back.
Well, now that the housing, when we had a problem with the housing market, a lot of the laws have changed. So that is one of the rules that is against the law. We cannot, yes, we cannot. That is a very gray area.
Wow.
We are not supposed to give referral fees.
Got you.
It's a very gray area.
Can y'all give a gift?
Yes.
Okay.
But it cannot be over $50. Yes.
I don't have no problem with anybody give me a $50 Papacitos card. If I go to Papacitos and give me something to eat, I like that. That's actually good because I think you guys do a lot of hard work.
We do.
And y'all actually go above and beyond. Y'all walk customers through a lot. What do you deal with when you have a customer coming to you in this field that want to sell a house?
Okay. Well, before we move on, let me just say this about the credit. I want to close out because I don't want to forget.
Okay.
Annualcredit.com. That is the actual credit website.
Annualcredit.com.
Okay.
Check them out.
All right. Now, the question you posed to me again was, what
would you do if you have a person that wants to sell a house? Because some realtors are good at actually selling a new house. But you may have somebody that have an older house that built in the 70s or in the 80s and say, hey, look, I want to get in this new house, but I got this old house right here that my grandma left me. I don't want it. Can you help me sell it?
Yes.
How do that process? Do that work? Do you do that
as
well?
Normally we list with a contingency to sell. You can do that. But the way the market is or has been in the past, and it's just recently slow, but they project that it's supposed to speed back up or pick back up is what I should say around May.
Yep.
But
close to the summertime, right when kids get out of school. When they get out of school, that's when they ready to buy houses.
But normally when you put a house on the market, it doesn't sit very long anymore because, as you said, people are moving in. So you have a lot of people who come and they move in and they rent for a while just until they search and find the right home. People are just taking their time, to, it's not that they're not buying, they're being more cautious with their money. So
see if they're responsible.
Right. They'll come in, they'll lease for 6 months and then buy a house. I see that a lot. Yeah, they'll move here, they'll lease for a short term, a 6-month lease, a year lease, and then they'll decide if they want to stay in the city. And if they do, they end up buying. That's what a lot of people do. So as far as listing your house to sell, things have kind of just a little bit for the sellers changed. Again, your house is not sitting as long as it used to. So you would just sell the house and then turn around and, in the process, it's almost you have to time yourself.
Like trading a used car.
Right. You kind of have to be selling the house but searching for a house at the same time. Because it's simultaneously they're happening.
Because you'll sell that house
and then turn around.
And you buy a house. Because if you just sell your house and they bought it, you're gonna be homeless until you actually get a new house. And if you don't spend your money right,
Right.
Staying here, staying there, you're going to exhaust all your money. It's going to be gone. I seen somebody that happened to them before. They sold their house for $200,000. I watched them spend $200,000 on high-end hotel suites for like a whole year, spent all their money, like every single dime.
You know, and I say this, I I have 3 kids, they're all homeowners, they're all very young. And I say this to say money is so easy to get away from you. And although you think of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, you think that's a lot of money.
It's not. That's like 50
But
bucks.
your average bills cost anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 a month. So if you divided that 5,000 by whatever you're selling your home for, then that's the amount of months that you'll have to live. And that's not including all the extra stuff that you're going to do, because sometimes people, they get lump sums of money and they want to travel, but they don't figure out what they want to do with the money before. That's why buying a home is a good investment, because once you purchase a home, every dime that you put in that home, you can borrow against whenever you need to.
It's called equity, people. I don't know what that
You
does.
know?
I know what that means. A lot of people, they don't know that. I said, you got equity in your home.
You have
They
equity.
be like, what? I said, dude, you can go to the bank. How long you been in your house? Some people don't understand. You can't be in your home for 2 months and think you finna borrow equity. It don't work that fast. So some people don't know. You gotta put in at least, I've been in my home for like about 12 years.
Okay.
So I know I got it to go get it. Do I want it? I don't need it, but if I do need it, I can actually use it for upgrades in your house. Some people borrow equity for the wrong things. If you're doing an upgrade in your house, putting wooden floors in, or you want to go ahead and do this, hey, that's a good thing to actually do.
Well, not necessarily. Equity is equity, and you can use it for several different things if you know how it works. You have to understand that after you've been in your home, 3 to 5 years, you begin to accumulate, because you're paying. You have to remember, when you first move in the house, you're paying more towards the interest than you are the principal when the first couple of years or so it takes to build it up.
Unless you double your note.
Unless you that and,
Hey,
and
I
I
do
have
that.
some tips because I've been blessed to buy to have completely paid off 2 homes and some other property with these tips. Have you ever heard of the acceleration program?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's a program that you can call your bank or whoever your house note is with, and you can ask them about the acceleration program. And what that is, you pay one house note ahead of time, and then they take out half your house note 15 days prior to it being due, so you're not paying any interest on those 15 days. So it takes off some time. I'm not a lender. I have to say that. I'm just telling you some of the ways that I know to do this. And what it does, so if you think about it, every month you're only paying interest on half the month.
Chase Bank, I'm gonna call you later on today. I'm meant to call Chase and ask him this stuff.
Okay, and the other thing is, if you pay a house note every 6 months, you pay it into the principal, but you have to put it in the memo part of the check to let them know. And that also, you paying directly into the principal.
Okay.
And if you have, let's say you want to, you have to remember that money that you're putting into that house is money that's in the bank for you. So let's say you take your income tax and you want to pay into the principal of your home. You can do that. That money is sitting there for when all you have to do is pick up the phone and tell them. And most of the time, when you get the equity out, it's only like 3% interest. So it's not as high as if you borrow it from.
The mortgage, yep, for
Right.
banks and stuff.
But I strongly suggest that you talk to the lender. Again, I'm not a lender. These are some of the things that have helped me,
Yes, ma'am.
in my lifetime, be able to purchase, ahead of my 30 years.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Another thing I want to ask: do you ever get tired? Because there's a lot of stuff that you have to do with the real estate stuff. Do you ever get like tired? Like get a point where I'm like, oh, I just want to take some time off. I want to rest.
Well, in anything that you do, if you're doing it to your full potential, it's going to make you tired. So what I do, and people ask me this all the time because I'm like I work a lot. So I don't forget. I take the day of my birthday, which is the 27th of the month. And every 27th of the month, I've been doing this for 30 years, 40 years, I take that day and I spend it with myself.
No wonder I couldn't get you on. I couldn't get you 27. No wonder you said, well, let's do it on 28 or 29. Okay, it makes sense.
And if you can, I strongly suggest that a lot of people do not take vacations, but vacations keep you from having burnout. So I strongly suggest that you take a vacation at least every 6 months if you can, but a year is good because it keeps you from having burnout and it allows you to go back full force in what you want to do, that you love, whatever your passion is, you'll go back to doing that. So those are the two things that have helped me in my career, in my lifetime, because I have been like super busy. At one time, I was in school running a catering company, had a restaurant, and selling real estate.
Wow.
And I had to learn how to cut it off. And the 27th, I was talking to a lady, and she might have been 82. And she said to me, I've been doing this my whole life. I take the day of my birthday and I get lost away from everybody. She said, make that day for you. Don't make it as a date for you and your significant other, or a date for you and your kids, or a date for you and your lover. It's a day for you and God, just for you, to just be alone, and enjoy yourself, your peace of mind,
I'm doing
And
it.
that has really helped me. I mean, it has helped me keep my sanity.
21st of every month, I will
You'll
be
be
taking
missing.
that day off. I'm turning my phone off. I ain't taking no calls or nothing. Now we come to my favorite segment, which is called Leon's Top 5. Leon was a cousin of mine, going on about 2 years. He actually was killed in an 18-wheeler. And he was a real big fan of my shows. And I always dedicate this segment to him. Now, since we're on the eve of we actually finna get ready to rebrand, and we finna build a whole nother set. We finna actually upgrade to something bigger. So, what would be Mrs. Kyle's top 5 artists that she listened to? Like, when you do in the real estate business, you gotta listen to some type of music to keep you going. What would be the top 5 that you listen to? It can be a rap artist, it can be gospel, it can be jazz, it can be blues, it can be reggae, it can be zydeco, country. What would be the top 5 you listen to?
Jonathan McReynolds,
Okay.
Molly,
Okay.
I listen to a lot of different gospel music.
Okay.
As far as music, I like, well, not as far as music because gospel's music, but I tend to listen to classical music.
Okay.
I listen to classical music. And every now and then, I listen to like the old 80s music,
Okay.
you know, 80s and 90s.
Yes.
You know, I really like that music.
You know, they don't make music like that no more. The
No,
music
they
they make
don't.
now is actually different, but I try to respect their culture as if I'm an '80s baby. So I remember when the NWAs, the Public Enemy came out, the Tupacs, the Digital Underground. Our grandmothers didn't like that music and say it
At
was actually
all.
bad. It was filthy.
Ice Cube, Ice
Yes.
T, yeah, they was just militant, they would
Yes,
say.
I respect
Yeah.
that their culture. That's what they like to listen to. That's what they like to do. I just tell them, and the same thing like my parents used to tell me. If my children could actually live in the era of Michael Jackson, and when cartoons was cartoons and toys was toys,
Right.
and girls was girls and boys was boys, and we can fight each other today, and we may not talk for another week. We're friends tomorrow. Now we fight you today, we kill you today.
Right.
We go get a guns. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't like that.
Right.
Kids didn't even have access to guns like that. Of course, if you got a big family and somebody mess with you, they got to mix with all
rest
of
of the
them. You're gonna have to
family.
go through the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
family if you go for
yeah,
one of them.
yeah.
Now it's a whole different era. Now, how can the people find you on social media and any websites? How can they find you?
My website is Houston Homes with an S by Felicia.com. That's my website. You can click on, there's a bar there that says if you have any questions, you can fill out the questions and click on it. And feel free to contact me that way, or you can email me at fbkyle@cbunited.com. And you can text me at 832-528-7403. And I also want to say that I do give one-on-one home buyer consultations. My office is over off of Kirby
Okay.
in Richmond.
Over there by Lakewood Church.
Yes, I'm in Greenway. My office is over there, so I'll be willing, if you're interested, you know, to walk you through the process. Again, it's a process. It's very simple. You know, you just need to be ready to get your stuff together over a course of 9 months.
That's right. That's right. And you know, if you give her a call and it's about business, don't call the lady or text lady about going on no date. Because you know, some people they'll call you for crazy stuff, and you be like, no, this is a business line. This is not a hookup line. So hey, look, if you want to buy a house, because I'm pretty sure people they do that.
Yes.
This is not Martin from a thin line between love and hate, like he looking for a crystal baby bird. But I enjoyed you, and I am going to bring you back on another episode. Okay. And it's very nice to see our people actually. And when I mean our people that we see every day, not a person of color, but a person that we see every day that we can actually touch, that is out there doing things positive for the community and helping, especially women. That's one thing. A lot of women don't really get the help like they desire to actually have. It's always catered sometimes more to the male than it is the female, and they give them a hard time. But now, I hate to say it, these women are bosses.
Well, you know, one of you when you were saying the things about how life has changed, well, if we as women plant our feet and we're able to be stationary for our kids to grow, it's only going to help society. So if again we become homeowners, then we're vested in what's going on in the city. So that means we're not going to be moving around. Our kids are not going to be going from place to place to place. They're going to have a home. They don't have to every 12 months the lease is up. You have to figure out where
Hit
you
the
want to
post.
go or what school they have to go to. The idea is to help women, not just women, but help people plant their feet.
That's right.
So that, you get a starter home, and 5 years later, you buy a house twice that size. Then 10 years later, you buy a house, or not even 10, 5 more years later, you buy a house twice that size.
That's right. That's
You know,
right.
it's just a matter of learning how to grow financially
And have discipline.
and have discipline.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, you just have to kind of like riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's kind of how this is. And when you have your kids, what better motivation
That's right.
than, wanting the right things for your kids?
That's right, because they going to follow your lead.
Right.
Okay. Always, until next time, always remember, anything is possible. Thank y'all for choosing Chopping Up with Lil Ron. Until next time, we out. Peace.